Hello, everybody, and welcome to Scanner Monkey TV. Hi, Brittany. we have got
Hey.
we have a hand signal on the mic, so Brittany was testing that. Tonight's show is on building a sellable business, specifically an Amazon or reseller retail business, e-commerce. And we have a panel of experts tonight. We have Cynthia Stein, who is the suspension prevention queen over here. She is the expert at getting people unsuspended and also helping people stay unsuspended. So she's going to be the one who's going to know what we're allowed to do, what we can get away with, and that kind of stuff. So she's going to tell us all about that. Daniel Baker is in the house tonight. Daniel and his wife have an extremely successful Amazon business, and he has been a guest on our show before. I think actually somebody's. I'm meeting you guys. Okay. So Daniel and his wife have a business together, and which they bought. So he's on tonight as kind of the expert on buying one, what that's like, and what kind of they looked for in that business. And then we have Michael Blake, who is in fact connected with me. So we have a couple people in our group that do have the same last name that are not connected with me, but this guy happens to be my husband. But he also works in business valuation. He is a well-known public speaker in the field of finance and business valuation. So he's going to talk to us about sort of bigger picture business stuff. And then Brittany is here because she and her husband, who also run a I guess, Amazon e-commerce business together, a successful one, were actually what started this whole show. So I was in Chicago with Mike, her husband. Her husband's named Mike too. And we were just kind of talking like you do at a conference, and he was talking about, how they were thinking about trying to make their business into a sellable business. And then we just sort of discussed that. And so that was like, I was like, oh, we should do a show on that topic. So that was sort of what got this whole thing going last fall. And so Brittany's from the perspective of like the strategic position of like being at the beginning of that process. What are the things you need to put in place? And then my name is Cordelia. I help run an organization called Scanner Monkey. We are a resource group for Amazon and other e-commerce professionals. Okay, that's the intros. So rather than trying to have everybody talk at once, why don't we start with Brittany? Unmute you.
All right. Hello.
Hey. So Brittany, what can you tell us a little bit about, like, now you guys have a, I don't want to name numbers, but a very successful Amazon business. You guys have built your dream home, but now you're kind of thinking about the next step. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So we're just trying to figure out what the next 5-10 years could possibly look like. We started with an eBay store, and now, yeah, like you said, we've got our dream house. We're pretty content, but the Amazon climate has changed significantly in the last 5 years. And I'm guessing it's going to continue to change. And the way we've always done business, I don't know that that's going to create something that has lasting value 5-10 years down the road. So we're looking at where can we put the profit that retail and online arbitrage really do provide you. Where can we put that profit to build something that has value, that either produces an income long-term or produces a large payday so that we could live off that long-term. So that's kind of where the thought process is going. Is we're getting older, and we need to think about the next 30 years and where income is going to come from.
That's a very rational conversation. Mike, we need to have that conversation. Daniel, can you tell us a little bit about what kind of like what your thought process was, and maybe what your evaluation process was when you guys bought your business?
I think you need to unmute him.
Oh, I think you are correct. Okay, go again, Daniel. Sorry, my fault.
When we bought our business, it was primarily an eBay business. It was a website. They had a website, and it had probably 2,000 or 3,000 items listed on it. So we got all of that inventory and the eBay business, and it was all merchant fulfilled. When we bought it, we actually bought it from my brother-in-law, and he had bought it from a guy in Tampa the year before, and his wife, my brother-in-law's wife, had operated it for about a year and a half. And it was just a lot of work because it's merchant fulfilling through eBay. And at that time, there was no ship station or anything else, so you were printing the labels one at a time. But when we bought our business, the one thing we made sure to get was all the financials. And my brother-in-law gave us the login to all their eBay accounts, their website, which I think was through Bluehost, and then all of the bank account and credit card logins. And I think that was probably the most important thing, was just getting that financial information, because people can tell you what they make and how great the business is, but until you actually see, and the other thing is the supplier information. So that way you know what they're paying. So the two big things, like, we didn't care anything about how much business they did. We just wanted to know what they were buying stuff for, and then what they were able to sell it for. And that's the one thing that if I ever buy another business, or if I ever decide to sell our business, I think you have to give the people the keys to everything when it's time to actually start buying the thing, because otherwise you can't trust people. But the only thing we were just looking for side money when we bought the business, because my wife was a college teacher and I worked for the government. So, I mean, we had decent jobs, but we actually grew the eBay business so much that it was actually costing us money to go to work to merchant fulfill off eBay. So that's why I said we weren't real worried with what the business was making at the time. We just wanted to know what the cost was, and then what we could sell the stuff for, because it's basically an unlimited supply of stuff that we were buying, because it's all wholesale. So that was what we looked for.
So why would you buy that rather than just start your own eBay store and just use the same supplier because it's your brother-in-law?
We didn't know it existed. I mean, before that, our experience on, like, we'd sold some stuff on eBay, like some old movies or something, and, made a couple $100 a month. And then all of a sudden, and we'd done it for like 7 or 8 years, and my brother-in-law knew that we played on eBay a little bit. And then all of a sudden, we heard that they had bought a business. I mean, they didn't really talk a lot about it. And he was like, yeah, we did $65,000 in sales on eBay this month. And I didn't know that was possible. And at the time, I didn't even know people sold on Amazon. I thought Amazon was like Walmart, that it was its own thing. So when we bought it, we didn't pay a lot for it, but the primary thing that we paid for, I guess, was the eBay store came with all the eBay listings. Like, they were buy it now listings that had the inventory set at $9,999, because it was all wholesale stuff that was never going to go out of stock. And so, they had it in hand. So I guess primarily what we bought was the contact for the wholesale information, which that's huge, because you get 2 or 3 really good wholesalers. I mean, you could make a full-time living off that. And then it came with the website, an eBay store, and the Amazon store. The Amazon store had like 8 things listed on it, and it was all merchant fulfilled, like some sporting goods, like baseball hats and keychains and stuff like that. But I think that's really what you pay for in a business, is just all that. When you buy it, is, yeah, the hard assets are good. Like the eBay account, our eBay account has like 80 or 90,000 feedbacks on it. Had a huge feedback number. It's never had any restrictions or anything like that. So, but then just that transfer of knowledge also came with it, because I had no idea you could sell $60,000 worth of stuff on eBay in a month. I had no idea how to even, I mean, I couldn't even fathom it.
I can barely fathom it now. Like, you do not hear that many people talking about making that kind of money on eBay.
Yeah,
So
we don't, we
that's
barely
a
sell on,
profitable business.
we barely sell on eBay right now, but before we transitioned over to Amazon, we were doing like middle six figures a month on eBay.
That's amazing.
And it is a lot of work, and we had no
Yeah.
ship station or anything. We were doing it all manual.
So, so sometimes you're paying for like a bigger business. Sometimes you're literally just paying for the time saved, the resources, the knowledge, so that you can come in and hit the ground running from day one, which is what you guys did, right? You just jumped right in.
Yeah, we just changed really all we did was we changed all the contact information on the website host, Amazon. I didn't know if it was against the, I mean, we the Amazon account had like 8 feedbacks on it, and I think they'd maybe had like 10 or 15 sales, but the account was 7 or 8 years old. They just never really utilized it. So we just went in and put our EIN number in there. The business name stayed the same, so that stayed, and then just changed over the eBay accounts and.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
It's probably been 3.5 years, 4 years.
This has been a good investment for you guys. I mean, you've definitely made back what you paid, and you guys make a very good living for your business, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, Daniel. Cynthia, would you fill us in a little bit on what the rules are?
All right, I get the fun part, which is to, tell everybody what they can and can't do, right? And I'll tell you 2 things. I'll tell you, one, what the rules are, but I'll also tell you what people actually do in practice. So there's 2 things. So according to Amazon's terms of service, you cannot buy or sell an Amazon account, right? You can buy and sell a business, of course, but you can't buy and sell an Amazon account. So what they would expect you to do if you were selling your Amazon business is that the new owners would tell Amazon, and Amazon would basically close the old account and open up a new account for them. Okay, and of course nobody wants to do that, but that's what the rules are.
You lose your account, you lose all the feedbacks and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. You lose all the seller feedback. Obviously, you don't lose product feedback, but so that's a problem. And people buy and sell Amazon businesses all the time. And I will tell you that Amazon at this time does not have any way to search the public records. So they don't know that, Cordelia has just bought Cynthia's business. They don't see the paperwork. They're not going to track you that way. But what they do see, and this is where some of my clients get caught up, even when they're not selling a business, but what they do see is when the EIN is changed, when the business name is changed, when the bank account is changed, the credit card's changed, everything gets changed. And what that does is it triggers a fraud alert there, actually. It's not that it's triggering them that, hey, you might be selling your business. What they basically are concerned about is that somebody may be taking over your business without permission. So, and I have yet to figure out the black box, because sometimes it does this and sometimes it doesn't. Daniel was able to change his information, but he kept the business name, but he was able to change his information and he didn't get shut down. Other clients that I've had, they changed their bank account and boom, they're shut down, and it's a mess to get them back, because you have to prove that they have a legitimate reason to change it, that it's not fraud, that I really am who I say I am. So what I tell people who want to do this successfully is, one, technically you cannot make the account part of the transaction. So when you do your transaction, make sure that what you're buying are the assets and the intangibles. You're buying the brand, you're buying the value of what they've created. Maybe you're buying their website, but you're not buying the Amazon account. Oh, and you can buy all the inventory. That's fine. You just can't buy the Amazon account. So, and then in case it ever comes down to Amazon looking at your paperwork. And then what I would suggest people do in practice is to do everything behind the scenes. So rather than change the bank account, for example, instead I would have the purchaser acquire the bank account. So what happens is they go to the bank, ownership is now transferred to the new owners, the old owners are removed, but it's all done at the bank level, right? And it's done in the corporate minutes. It is not done on Amazon. And so the money still goes into that bank account. And hey, even if you want to transfer it immediately to another bank account, you can do that. But I would suggest the less things you change, the better. I would be careful about changing your email address. Again, if you're thinking you're going to sell your business at some point soon, then what you may want to do is create a email forward, right? Maybe it's, sales@mycompany.com, right? And it forwards to you. But later when you sell your business, you can change the forward so that it forwards to the new owners. And you turn over that account, that URL and everything to the new owners. And again, it's behind the scenes. So Amazon doesn't see that the email's changed. They don't see that the bank has changed. And I would do as much of that as possible. They get funny when the credit card's changed. I mean, we have problems changing the credit card. Even when Amazon tells us your card is expired, you need to go change your we've all seen that. I had 2 months once where I didn't get paid because they kept telling me my credit card was invalid. I wanted to shoot them. So again, try to change as few things as possible. If you have to change the credit card, you have to change the credit card. But again, if that's something that's maybe attached to the bank, maybe you can transfer that to the new owners legally behind the scenes. If not, okay. But try to change as few things as possible. And if they see that the bank account is the same, the name is the same. And that's the same thing too. When you take over a company, you purchase everything. And so you now are associated with that EIN. So again, there's no reason to change that EIN. You can just simply move that company into your business as a division, as a DBA, however you like. But you can just simply make it one of your corporate assets. There's no need to change it. So that's what I advise people who really plan to sell their business, to make it easier on the new owners, to make sure that your account doesn't get suspended right before the transaction goes through, is to, really follow the rules and try not to let it be known to Amazon that you're doing this. So that's what I would do. And, you have to bring the new owner in. You have to make them an admin and all of that. That's just, of course. But, the less the Amazon knows about it, the better, because, again, you're not technically supposed to be selling it. And so if they find out, they'll tell you that you have to close that Amazon account.
Okay. Now, what about if you gradually, 1 month change the email and then 3 months later change something else? Does that matter versus trying to do it all today?
Yes. So definitely if you do it over time, that's better. That's why I tell people, if you're looking to maybe sell your business, maybe you think you might do it in 2017 sometime, then make some of these changes now. Like with the email, you can add another email, make it an email forward, so that, again, it's easy to transfer to a new owner. But yeah, that helps a little bit. But you're going to ask me how much time should I spend between these events? I don't know.
Just
that
like Amazon, everything else, it's a question mark, right?
I have not seen a pattern that I can point to. So, but I will tell you, definitely, if you change several things within a couple of weeks of each other, boom. That's the fastest way I know for them to shut you down. Their fraud people are very picky.
Well, I mean, in a way, that's really good, right? Because if somebody did hack into my account and managed to change all that stuff, I would definitely want my account to be shut down. But that's a really good way to kind of get that set up. And I never thought about doing that as like a catch-all email, and then you can just set that up. And that's also good too if you have like partners, and then everybody can kind of monitor the same email. It gives you a little more freedom. Hold on.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of flexibility. But that's the other thing too. What people need to realize is a lot of people have figured out how to hack and embezzle from Amazon accounts. And I was really shocked the first time I saw it. And, you know, basically it's usually an inside job, you know, someone you know. And they go in and the first thing they do is change the email address. And then they change the bank account. And then all of a sudden your next disbursement is going to some unknown bank account that doesn't belong to you. And you may not catch it for a while. And so they're very firm about security. And they'll help you the first time that happens. But if it happens again, they'll ban you.
Okay. Daniel, did you have a comment or question?
That may be what never got our account looked at. Is we changed the EIN the day we bought it, and then the email never changed because we bought all the email addresses that came with the account. And then I think that's probably about the only thing we changed, because we didn't use it for probably the first year or two, and then that's when we actually went in and changed our bank account when we were like, hey, we're going to get paid. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so a year. We know that works. Now work our way in.
That's right. So just wait 2 years and you're good. Well, that's a really, really good tip or series of tips, Cynthia. Thank you. Now, Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about how somebody could take sort of like a business that they're essentially using as a I'm going to call it a glorified job, in the sense that you're making money to live off of, you know, whether it's frugally or extravagantly, and how to turn that into an asset you could sell.
Sure. So it's typically about scale. One of the key business differences between a business and a job is a business makes money for you when you're not working in it, and a job doesn't. And you need scale in order to do that, and that scale can either come from automated processes or semi-automated, such as buying inventory and selling it, replenishing. That happens in the background while you're off playing golf or watching your stories or doing your day job. And the other could be some automated mechanism technology that does all those processes for you in the background. And again, sort of a push button that would enable you to generate a second income. Now, that doesn't mean then that just because you work in your business full time, that doesn't mean that it's a job. But if you're, for example, making significantly more in that business for the same amount of effort than you would make in a job outside of the business, then you do have a business in which you happen to be employed. And so how do you achieve that scale? Well, you do it through a few things. One is you do it through good processes and generally being clever. And everybody can be clever, and everybody can have and implement good processes. Now, it is helped, but is not necessarily required if you are able to invest capital in it, either that you're putting upfront capital or you're not taking every dollar out of the business. You're able to reduce your standard of living or reduce your lifestyle, live off of savings, whatnot, to take money out of that business. To not take money out of the business and reinvest into greater inventory, right? And we hear in your world, feed the beast, right? Well, that's just simply a colloquial way of saying invest working capital in your business. And almost every non-internet business requires you to work that way. And retail arbitrage and reselling and wholesaling is not really an internet business. It's a retail business that happens to be enabled by an internet platform. So if you do those things, then you have an opportunity to build value. The other way to build value, and this is kind of sneaky, is you don't necessarily have to build value by reinvesting in your business. You know, another model could be that if you can make enough income from your business, and I think Brittany was talking a little bit about starting to plan for the future, you don't have to reinvest money in your business to turn it into an asset. If you're taking that money, that surplus you generate from the business, you invest in real estate, stock market, some other asset that appreciates, that actually can get you to the same place, and maybe it actually fits better with your risk profile. So there are more ways than one to build value in the asset. But as a standalone business, to kind of sum up a long-winded answer with a very short and sweet phrase, it's really all about building scale that comes from either clever processes or investing capital or both.
Now, what about, like, one of the things that really struck me about Daniel's example, and especially now with the new Amazon climate of, arbitrage is basically becoming an extremely risky way to make a living. I know some on this call would just say you shouldn't do it at all. There are people that still make a very good living doing arbitrage. I know personally I don't do it anymore, and I would really have a hard time recommending it to somebody else as a business model. But in Daniel's case, like, part of what they bought wasn't the processes, but it was like the relationships and kind of the account credibility. Like, I don't know, how would you quantify that, or how could you create that? Can you build up your account to become like, this is a super awesome, Amazon account? Or, some people like that have older accounts, they have daily payouts. Amazon doesn't do daily payouts anymore. That could have its own value associated if you could take over an account that had daily payouts. So is that how, I don't know where the question is exactly in this, but how can you
I think I can find it.
Relationships and your account build value that way? Sure.
So the rating on your account, and I'm going to answer this very briefly because you're asking about Daniel's business, so I'm not going to answer while he's here. But I imagine that he would agree that what you're basically talking about is goodwill, that a feedback rating is simply a quantified reputation on your business. And it's really no different than a Consumer Reports rating, a Yelp rating, a Google rating, Facebook rating, whatnot. And certainly that is an asset that in and of itself has value and is worth preserving, because I think as a buyer on eBay, as you know, I feed my electronics habit by recycling things through eBay. I will buy from a lower rated buyer, but I will demand a discount in order to do that. And I think I'm a rational actor. So if that's true, you should be able to generate a higher margin and or higher volume with a more solid feedback rating. And I'll shut up.
Go ahead. I'm unmuting everyone.
I think one of the ways we created value is we have a couple brands that are gated. No one else can sell them outside of us. And a couple of our products during certain times of the year get ranked under 1,000. So I think that's where we get a lot of our value, because we don't have to go out and search for those things. I mean, I still do retail arbitrage and I do a lot of it. It's just we also do a lot. We really only do retail arbitrage at Christmas time for like the last half of the year. But the first half of the year, it's pretty much just all our own private label stuff where we're the only one on the listing. And because of last summer's Chinese invasion, we were reporting 20 and 30 new Chinese sellers a week on a couple of our items that were ranked under 1,000 in clothing. And
oh, wow.
there would just be 40 or 50 new sellers every single week selling at a fraction of what we bought wholesale. And so finally, sometime in November, our brand we didn't even realize it was restricted. We just know somebody that was also has an Amazon account. They sell like a pharmaceutical type stuff. And they were like, hey, we can't even list your stuff on Amazon. And we went over and looked at their account. They have an office right down the way. And our brand is gated. And we never even asked Amazon to gate our brand. It's just a gated brand now.
That's interesting. So have you seen that happen before, Cynthia, where brands are becoming gated just because there's been such an influx of counterfeit?
Yes. In fact, that is the number one criteria for them branding a gate or gating a brand. That's the number one criteria. And so when they see a brand, whether it's a big brand or it's a private label brand, they see a brand where there's a lot of counterfeit and there's a lot of problems on it, they will gate it. Now, and that's the good news. Now, the bad news is Daniel has no control over that, right? He can't he can't decide who to let in and who can't get in, right? So, you know, unfortunately, he's not the one that gated it, but they did it because there was so much activity on his account. This is one of the many things Amazon is doing to try and cut down on counterfeit. And we'll see more and more of this happening, more brands getting gated, you know, as time goes by. And right now the criteria was the ones that had the most counterfeit activity, but it's going to filter down. And I think eventually you'll see that basically anybody who's brand registered, I think in the future, their brand will be gated. So, one of my inside contacts had told me there that one of the other criteria is whether or not a product is very easy to duplicate. So, you know, think of something that has a plastic mold, or, you know, something that's fairly easy to make in a factory in China. If they see that it could be easily counterfeited, they may proactively gate that brand.
Okay. Well, that's kind of good news. I mean, as somebody who's becoming a brand owner, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Because we definitely don't want 40 and 50 people on our brand every week. Like Daniel, I remember when you were going through that and posting about it, Daniel. I mean, were you guys doing test buys, and how were you verifying?
And that's what was funny. We do test buys on all of them because, I mean, they were selling it for $2, so it wasn't costing us a ton of money, and we knew we'd get our money back. But I think we probably did 200 or 300 test buys, and only 4 people actually sent stuff. And they don't even try to duplicate it. They were just sending crap. I mean, we would literally get a bag of crap in the mail, random stuff. It was still clothes. It was just, it might be a little kid's outfit. But primarily, and what we found after a little while was we just had a template. After we reported them to, we made a template where we just, as soon as we saw the new batch, is like every Monday morning you come in and find all the new counterfeit sellers. You just shoot an email to seller support, and then also we were just sending them an email that says, "Hey, this is such and such company. We said we know you're selling fake items. Please remove your items." And when we started doing that, 90% of them would just take them down the next day because they were listing literally 300,000 listings all at once because they were all newly launched. Right. And so they'd have every top 100 licensed t-shirt, men's, women, and children. And it'd be like a 1999 Captain America shirt. They were selling for $4.50 from China. So. Right.
Well, and they were just casting a wide net. And like you said, half of them never intended to deliver a product at all. And my contact at Amazon is very aware of that. And he said, you know, they were not able to keep up with how fast, as fast as they would take down a seller, they would be back up again with a different name, doing the same thing. So this is part of why Amazon has taken the measures that they have. I mean, you know, honest players really find it a pain in the tuchus, right, to have to do all this ungating and you know, and getting approved on the brands, and it's an imperfect process. But on the other hand, the whole goal is to not have what happened to you happen to other sellers. And ironically, the Chinese, the good actors, are just as frustrated as we are against the bad actors.
Right. So Brittany, I'm curious because you're kind of trying to look at building up your company. Do you have any questions or thoughts based on what we've already talked about?
Well, so the way that we've thought about doing this is we realize that our retail arbitrage and online arbitrage, that side of the business, if you take us out of the equation, there's no business. So we've been moving into wholesale, and we've been heading that direction for a while. So we're going to continue that way. We're also starting to look, just like you, into creating our own brand. So we're exploring different niches and how we want to do that. Last year we also expanded. We brought back our eBay account and really started selling a lot of things on there again. We started selling on jet.com. We've got our Walmart account set up. So we're trying to put all these bricks in place now so that we have a good foundation we can actually build up on wholesale and private label now. We're looking into maybe some software development to automate our own processes. So the hope is that we would have this nice bundled package to potentially sell off. Maybe we sell off the brand. Maybe we sell off the wholesale company. Maybe we don't sell any of it. Maybe it all just makes us money and we become fantastically wealthy and we move to an island somewhere. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, we've just been really trying to think, where is this going to go? And we know that retail arbitrage and online arbitrage, there's no faster way to make a buck, which is why that quick buck is going away slowly over time. So we're just going to do that as fast and hard as we can until we have something else more secure. So I don't really have any questions other than, Mike, does that sound like some of the pieces that would need to be in place to have a valuable asset that could be sold?
Yeah, I think you're playing it the way I would play. I don't know if it's the right way, but it's the way I think that makes sense to me. As Cynthia's pointed out, sometimes Amazon seems like they're a random policy generator, and the reason they seem that way is because they're confronted by clever, unsavory people that are outside the reach of the law much more quickly than they can react to it. And I would suspect if we could sort of put a bug inside Amazon, well, that's sort of topical now, but if we could put a bug inside Amazon, they're experimenting. They're trying to figure out where that balance is between keeping the honest sellers protected and viable and keeping the bad actors out, and they just don't know. So I think there's something to kind of riding this out, building it up, until you kind of figure out what model you're going to do next. But at the end of the day, the Chinese invasion, I think, was illustrative of just how the market reacts when people are able to buy low and sell high. The market doesn't like that. It tends to make that go away. The market doesn't like that arbitrage opportunity. Markets don't work that way. So ultimately, one of the pieces of durable value is where do you maintain an unfair competitive advantage, right? And that could be in your seller rating if it generates enough goodwill out there in the marketplace. It could be from a proprietary vendor relationship. Cordelia had a huge advantage for about 2 years because we had America's Mart here, and she could clean up and cash and carry day and liquidate, and she made a ton on that. But other people figured out it was there, and sellers changed their policy and sold to different buyers, and that went away. So part of the process I think you have to figure out in the long term, if you're going to be an Amazon reseller, is what is your process for finding the new opportunities that are out there, right? And we're already familiar with industries that do that. That isn't exactly what Wall Street does every single day. It's what Hong Kong, London does, just on a different scale. So those opportunities are out there, and if you can develop that model that consistently generates arbitrage, that definitely has value. That's what builds skyscrapers.
One of the other trends that I've noticed, like when I first started selling, private label was about making another garlic press, right? I mean, right? It was like everybody was like under the radar, and it wasn't really about brand launch. It was about just it's almost like private label arbitrage in the sense, you're capitalizing on a short-term gain. You just go stick your logo on a thing. You just throw free product out there and get your rank down and sell. But what I'm hearing more and more from sellers who are branding now is that we're building a brand. We have our own label. So, and Daniel has this too, where you are building that kind of asset. I can say, because I'm working on that too now, and I've gotten people say, like, why are you doing that? Why are you telling people the name of your company? Like, I've had people ask me that, like, why would you say it? And I'm like, well, because I want people to know about it, and I want to be able to, engage in the PR machine and marketing, and it's tell my story. That's what marketing's about, is telling a story and things like that. So, and I hear you say that too, Brittany, like you guys are looking at brand building in a niche and not just, making another garlic press, right? So that's another way to add an asset, is to have an actual brand with brand equity and brand value as well. And then hopefully somebody will come and buy it for $300 million. Cynthia, are you volunteering to buy my brand? It's yours. Done. Oh, I have to unmute you. I'm sorry. Darn it.
Yeah, I couldn't speak. One of the things I was going to say is sometimes just having an Amazon account is in itself valuable. And I know, like, when my dad got out of the business, and there was other people who just wanted out for their own reasons, and they'd made money, but they were done. That definitely there are people who are looking for a clean Amazon account to buy, and they don't care that it's too small, or they don't care what you're selling, because they have their own stuff they want to sell on your account. What they really want is to buy a clean account. So I guess one thing I would add to this is it doesn't really matter how big you are. You can probably sell your business. Obviously, the smaller you are, they're not going to pay you that much for it, but it's still something to think about. If you just want out, there's that to think about, that you could do that. And there are people who basically need a clean account to get back into selling on Amazon with. They've lost their own privileges. So that's one more. So just having an account is valuable.
How much is that worth?
Depends on the buyer. So, and it depends on what they want, right? So if, for example, your account is ungated in all the major categories, then that's really valuable, because they don't have to go through that process again with a new account. It generally costs somebody, this is just based on anecdotal information because we don't do this for our clients, but it generally costs about at least $5,000 to $7,000 to get a new stealth account set up. And then, of course, you have a brand new account, right? Now you have to go and you have to get it ungated, and you have to, start over again on seller feedback and things like that. So just any of you guys who've been keeping your accounts nice and clean, and you have some good feedback, seller feedback, and you're ungated in various categories, if you just want out one day, you might be able to sell it. I'm not saying you're going to make millions of dollars. I'm saying you might be able to sell it for $5,000 to $10,000. But that's better than nothing. And so for a small business, that's something to think about.
So if you decide
that sounds right to me. I think that the value proposition of an account is the make or buy decision, right? You pay a minimum of what it would cost you to avoid having to recreate it yourself, and then maybe a little premium for avoiding the hassle factor and being able to get to market more quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So if you decide, okay, I want to sell my account, or I want to sell my business and transfer my account, or however you're going to word that, what would be, how would you find a buyer? What would your process be in terms of getting the word out there? And who would you not want to work with? I hear bad things about business brokers, and what's ethical and responsible? How do you do that? Mike?
Well, I think an intriguing area to put it up for sale would be a place called bizbuysell.com. That's sort of a national listing of small businesses on the internet that range from restaurants to nail salons to used car lots, things of that nature. That'd be an interesting place to put it. It's not uncommon to see businesses being sold on Craigslist. I don't think it would necessarily be a terrible idea to go on, for example, Scanner Monkey and put up a listing and say, you know what, I'm thinking of getting out. Here's kind of my asking price. If you're interested, let's talk. If there isn't already, I would imagine that you will see brokers in this space. It's not terribly uncommon to see businesses bought and sold on eBay. How ironic would that be to sell an Amazon account on eBay? But it has definitely been done. You see all kinds of virtual goods. Like if you can sell a platinum sword of whatever it is on World of Warcraft on eBay, you can sell an Amazon account on eBay. I promise you. So those would be some places to go about it. But if the market hasn't been filled by yet, I'll bet you there'll be a business broker that specializes in the purchase and resale of Amazon accounts.
I've gotten an email from one in Atlanta. I've forwarded the contact information to Cordelia because I thought maybe you'd know the guy.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
We saw that. That's that address is like one of those
guys
co-working spaces like Regis or something.
Yeah, they quit sending it. I was getting that probably one a week in November and December from the same guy.
You know, the problem with any new industry is nobody really has a reputation yet. So it's very hard to separate the good actors from the bad actors, and in a lot of ways, you just have to use your own judgment and skepticism, and most importantly, ask for references. You know, demand to talk to multiple references that those brokers have worked with before, and including somebody that they've failed to sell a business for. You know, nobody has 1,000 batting average. Goldman Sachs doesn't. No broker does. So a key question in vetting a broker is to demand to talk to some of their clients, including those that have not been successful. And if you're denied that opportunity, then shut the conversation down. You're wasting your time.
The other thing is that broker that that you sent us a link to, they didn't have, I think they just had like information about the owner, but they didn't have, there was no like staff page, or it seemed very,
it's just like a landing page.
Yeah, it was just very much of a landing page that didn't seem to have like a real, and it's so easy now to get addresses in, like they had an address in Buckhead, which is kind of a business center of Atlanta, but it's easy to get an address. You know, you just rent a space for a couple $100 a month and you have an address, or you get a PO box or something like that. So that's not necessarily enough to vet a company just because, you know, they have like a physical address somewhere legit. But I think that that's good advice for Mike, is to get referrals and references, and, you know, always find out what their policies are if it doesn't work, how long they expect to take, things like that. And then word of mouth is always a good one too. You know, if you put your feelers out, and, you know, we talk a lot in Scanner Monkey about developing relationships and networking, and just being able to reach out to people and be like, hey, you know, I'm thinking about selling. Do you know anybody who might be interested? And that's another way to go too. And then Cynthia, is there any risk, like, let's say that I sold, like, for example, I have 2 accounts. So let's say if I sold one of my accounts but kept the other one, do I have some risk, like, of Amazon figuring that out and maybe my other account getting in jeopardy? And I do have approval for both accounts. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So here's the risk. If you have 2 accounts and you sell one, but Amazon doesn't know, right? So they think you still have both accounts. So if the new owner, you know, drives that account into the ground, violates policy or whatever, yes, it can definitely affect your second account, because what will happen is they'll look at, let's say the new guy is getting a bunch of inauthentic complaints or something. They will immediately look at the other account to see if you have the same problem going on there. And while they don't automatically shut down the second account, you definitely get more scrutiny. So what you've basically done, if you have 2 accounts and you're only selling one of them, is that you've hitched your success to the other guy's wagon, and vice versa, right? So that is something where, you know, you may not want to do that. So
that makes sense. And then how would you get a fair value on an account like that? Would you hire somebody like a valuation person, Mike, or would you talk to, you know, other sellers? How would you come up with a value?
I definitely wouldn't hire me. I'm way too expensive. My fees would be worth more than most accounts. And frankly, I don't know if the market is established enough where it's all that easy to find a price. I would say the floor any account, and we're using accounts. I want to I'll divert from just a second, because I do think there's a way to kind of increase the value by reducing the risk. I think the floor ought to be the cost to recreate the account. I think Cynthia's idea is extremely well taken, that you ought to at least be able to get somebody to pay you what it would cost to recreate the account. If they're not willing to do that, they're either not a serious buyer or not very informed buyer. I think the best way to test the value of your Amazon business is to get multiple bidders. You're not going to find great value without some kind of auction, right? And, I've talked about it on our neighborhood mailing list. There's this guy that likes to, he's a real estate broker. He puts out all these prices and houses that have been sold and whatnot. And these houses have been sold in like 2 days. And what a great thing this is. I'd be scared to death if we sold our house in 2 days, that we sold it for too cheaply. That is nowhere near long enough to develop a market, right? They probably only had one bidder, and that's not the way to find value. A way to perhaps diminish a lot of the risk of these transfers, if possible, is to have the account owned by a corporate entity that has all of these things in place, has its own bank account, has an EIN that will not change upon change of ownership. Put it into an LLC or something so that you can sell the LLC lock, stock, and barrel. You're going to lose the benefit that you get by an asset purchase, because you can amortize the price on your taxes over time. But I think the premium you'd get for an online reselling business that happens to own an Amazon asset, where I think it's highly unlikely Amazon would ever know about the change, that I think would be a great way to establish a higher value. But don't bother with an appraisal. Put it out in the market and see if you can get an auction going for it.
Right, I agree, because I just think that I used to work for a turnaround guy, and so we would do a lot of business appraisals, and there's several ways. He usually did them 3 different ways, but we were looking at sandwich shops and gas stations and things where there was real clear what the value was and how to figure out the value. I think with an Amazon business, it's not going to be that clear, you're definitely going to want to sell to somebody who knows what they're buying and values it. So you'll probably be selling to another Amazon seller, I would guess.
And give yourself time to sell too. Don't treat it like a house sale where it goes in 2 days. A business often takes months to develop that market. Yeah,
it could take a while, especially if you're looking for a value buyer. So you may be looking for somebody who is looking up, says, I'd really like to open this particular channel, or I'd really like to be able to offer supplements, and we don't do supplements. And so rather than build it up themselves, they want to buy it, that kind of thing. That's where I think you'll probably get the best value for your business. I think the more you have to offer, again, also what Daniel was talking about, how he was able to just sort of step in and immediately go from selling a few hundred a month to $65,000 a month on eBay. There's a value in that. So, you may be able to find a buyer who would like to be able to do that without having to spend years building it up like you did.
That's a good point. And I love Daniel's story, because part of what they bought was this relationship with the wholesaler. And we talk, a lot of people are trying to get into wholesale, and we talk a lot about how a lot of wholesale is developing relationships, getting exclusives, and that's not something that happens usually the first time you talk to them, right? Like, people are like, well, when do you bring up exclusives? I'm like, I don't know. When do you ask somebody to marry you? Like, usually not on the first date, right? So, if you've taken the time to work with the wholesaler and really they trust you, and then you can transition that has value too. I mean, that relationship and the trust that's built up over time, because, for them to go to a different seller is a huge deal for them. So, you're providing them value too. So that's kind of a neat thing. Daniel, did you guys build up like a lot of new wholesale relationships since you started, or did you guys like really just fully develop that one you already had, right?
Yeah, we've got just like 2, but they've got huge product lines. And so what we found is with wholesale, the more money you spend, the better price, and the better they take care of you. That's the bottom line is a huge order. That's what people. When we first started out, we were placing like $60 and $70 orders a day. They like to see when you're buying 150 or 200,000 a month. All of a sudden, you get the best pricing. You know when the new stuff comes out. It's just really hard to explain it because I mean we were small peanuts to them when we first started, and then all of a sudden we were buying $150,000 every 2 weeks, and then that's when we started getting phone calls from them saying, "Hey, we really like you. Don't go to our competitors," because they know that it's apparel, so there's plenty of competitors out there, and they say, "What can we do to help you?" and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's probably. That's the one thing we've learned in our Amazon business is at the very beginning, we were just sort of throwing stuff on the wall. And once it's stuck, just see what's stuck. But then once we find what works, we just pound the crap out of it and sell as much of that crap as we can. I don't care what I'm selling. It's just once something starts selling, we'll just sell as much of it as fast as we can. So, but yeah, the reason that's another reason we go with the wholesalers we know is like the first 6 months of the year, we only work a couple hours a day and make more than we were making as full-time employees with the company. And then at Christmas time, start doing retail arbitrage just because no one's going. I have a hard time not making 6 figures in a month. So. In profit from retail arbitrage just by going and buying a bunch of stuff and reselling it. So, but yeah, we don't once we find what works, we quit trying to find new stuff because we don't have the time to do it. I don't want employees. That's another thing. I don't really care about growing any bigger than we are because I left having a job because I didn't want to supervise people anymore. So, we found what works and just keep doing it. And, we could get a lot bigger if we'd hire people because we could literally launch 50 new items every single week if we wanted to, because they sell so much. The wholesalers have so much stuff. It's just, we just find the few things that sell and then just try to sell a ton of them every week.
That's great. Well, do we have any questions from anyone in the audience about this topic for any of our panelists? It's been a quiet audience tonight. I'm assuming everybody's listening.
Or they're in stunned silence. Oh my God, what just happened?
And I know now that we paid way more for our business than we probably should have.
Sorry. You got good ROI out of it though, so.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like it worked okay.
It's not bad now, but and it went to my brother-in-law, so I mean, yeah.
That's very generous of you. No Christmas dinners where you're like, give me back my money.
Oh, he was terrified when he sold it to us. We already knew how to do eBay just because we'd done it for, in our spare time for several years. Like I think my original eBay account's from like 1998 or 97. And so he was calling us every week. He's calling my wife and he was like, man, y'all got any questions? I don't want you to hate me. And it's just, we were like, no, we got it. Just leave us alone. Because we were really busy trying to handle that plus our normal jobs. But he was really, really afraid that, because, anytime you do business with family, that's usually not a good thing.
If it doesn't work out, it can make for a very awkward Thanksgiving dinner conversation.
Yeah, so for the first couple of months when we bought it, he was really nervous, just worried. But that's the thing with online selling is it's way less risky than opening a store out in town because your market's literally the world, and the cost is the way we do our ordering is we for a lot of our stuff, we're not buying huge quantities up front, and we're sort of knowing what we're going to sell and then buying it. So,
and you have virtually no overhead.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, rather than like even placing monthly orders, don't you do daily still, or have you switched now to weekly and monthly orders with your wholesaler?
Yeah, since we moved to Amazon, we do we merchant fulfilled when we first started, but we're FBAing most of what we do, just because we found that out last year when we got a really high ranked item. When your clothing items get ranked under 1,000, you sell a ton, especially if it's a seasonal type item. You sell a whole lot really fast, and so it's just it's hard to, the sales velocity is a lot faster on an FBA item than a merchant fulfill item. So just investing the money up front, even though it looks like a little bit more cost, and then we sell, even with the FBA fees, we can ship most of our stuff first class a lot cheaper than the FBA fees, but the sales velocity is so much faster on an FBA item than a merchant fulfilled item that we're trying, and like that's probably one of our holdups is we don't want to hire people, and so we're not able to get our FBA, as much FBA in as we possibly could. So
interesting. Well, Daniel, after tonight, I have a feeling if you wanted to sell your business, you might have a few buyers in the audience because it sounds really good. I know you guys have worked really hard to build it up like that. I remember when I first spoke to you, you guys were very anti-FBA, and now you're like totally pro-FBA.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Well, we're kind of at the end of the hour. So unless panelists with each other, if you have any questions or comments, or audience to panelists, I think this was a really good discussion of building a valuable business, and it gives you some really good starting points. Everybody on the show is on Facebook, email can be reached that way if you guys have any follow-up questions. In fact, everybody here is in our group, so you can reach us there in Scanner Monkey. Before I wrap up for Keepsies, is there any final questions from anybody in the audience? Okay. Thank you all.
Tonight.
Yes, it was a very mellow night tonight, but that's okay. Maybe people are more mellow because it's earlier. Usually we're just starting now. Thank you guys all so much for coming on the show. I cannot wait to interview you again in another year. Every time I interview Brittany and Daniel and Cynthia, you guys always have new exciting things to talk about, so it's great. And Mike.
I know. Look, every day I come home and my key works is a blessing, so I get it.
Thank you for coming on, and we have, so for those of you, I think most of the people in the audience are members, but if you're not, Scanner Monkey is a trade organization for online sellers. It's only $20 a month, and we help each other. This kind of interaction we have all the time in the group. We have discounts. We have hundreds of hours of these recordings available for members only. And we just have an amazing community that you can connect with. We don't do affiliate marketing to our membership. We are not a guru-centered group, so it's not all about this great guru and how you should worship the guru. It's about how we can all help each other. We all have things to offer. And one of the things I love about Scanner Monkey, in fact, recently I had an issue, and I made a mistake, which is that I reached out to Seller Central first. And at the same time as I was talking to Seller Central, I'm typing it into Scanner Monkey. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I call Seller Central 10 minutes later? Because I would have literally saved myself, even after 3 years in Scanner Monkey. I forgot to do that. And, within 10 minutes, we had so many amazing responses to my question that were way more in my interest than what Seller Central was proposing. So we have, you know, a lot of times I'll go in there and I'll be like, oh, let me see if I can, you know, answer anybody's questions. And already we've had, you know, like Daniel and Brittany and other people like Cynthia have chimed in, and we have an amazing membership. So you can check us out on scannermonkey.com. We have seller case studies if you want to see some of our members and what kind of businesses they have. And just thank you all for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. And I think that's all the things I'm supposed to say. So thank you guys all. Have a great night, everybody. And we will see you back here next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.